What is up? What is up?
What's crack-a-lackin', senor?
Dude, we are here on a new night, but at the same time.
Yeah.
If you are not a regular and you are just joining us and you're like, dude, Wednesday, that's awesome. Great. If you're a regular and you're like, Wednesday, what the hell is up with that? There's two reasons. Number one, because Ryan's kids are like so busy on Tuesday evenings. But I've been considering moving it to Wednesday night for a while. It just helps on a couple of levels. So until further notice, Triple B is going to be on Wednesday evenings. So so join us. We'd love to see you, and we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Before I forget, and we start talking about all of the random crap that's been going on in our lives, which will make this night go really late as usual. I do want to make one comment, and I'm going to put this in the chat here. That's not good. Disregard this that I was about to do. I'm going to put a link in the chat for a company called High Octane Classics. Now, High Octane Classics is a car dealership. I have no affiliation with them in any way, shape, or form. So please, this is not if it helps them, rock on, but that's not my point. My point of this is High Octane Classics has hired our buddy, the one and only Steve Magnante, who, as you guys know, has been, doing, he's been having a struggle, right? He had encephalitis, brain infection, all this stuff, is in bad shape, is on the mend, thank God. But Magnante his brain is there mostly, even though it was a brain infection. Physically, he's having to make strides, and he's going through therapy and doing all kinds of great stuff. He says that his brain is a little, fuzzier than normal. That just means he's 3 times the genius that everybody else is, because he's Magneto and that's how he is, right? So here's the deal. I put the link in the comments here. And this is High Octane Classics. They have highlight videos, okay, that are on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, that are literally, it says, like in this case, 1968 Camaro walk around with Steve Magnante. These videos are just a couple minutes long, but it's Steve talking about this car that is for sale at High Octane Classic. There's no sales job. It's just talking about this car like he would if he was on the stage at Barrett Jackson, right? So it's really cool. I love that they're supporting him. So I'm just trying to support him as well. So go on there, make a comment about how bitchin' the car is, and tell him how much you love Steve, so that they'll keep doing this with him. And I love it. And if you don't follow Steve on YouTube yet, please do that. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell, all the things. And speaking of, make sure that if you are not already, if you're watching us on Facebook, if you are not already a subscriber on the Bang Shift YouTube channel, then please go subscribe and hit the bell and all the things. And the same thing for Streetcar Chronicles, which is Ryan's YouTube channel. And if you're a C10 fan, you're going to get a lot of C10 content lately. Yeah. In fact, Ryan is doing something he didn't want to do. I've told him for a long time to do it. So if it fails, he's going to hate me. But he is documenting the rebuild of his C10, and it's badass. Standard cab short bed, lowered drag radials, big block, fully bitchin' interior, excuse me. It is not a racetrack, but it plays one on TV on the occasional weekend. How's that? Right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the plan anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely go and do that. Charles Wickham in the house with his normal smart assery. I love it. Hey, Charles had to have a bone removed from his hand. They put in 3 titanium screws. He's got a gnarly scar. It's great. We're already talking about potential tattoos for it. I think I know why he had to have a bone removed from his hand, but it's a family show, so we're not going to talk about that. But I did question titanium. I mean, I really said, like, I thought galvanized was all the upgrade he was really worth, but apparently the doctors disagreed. He must have good insurance.
It's got to be it, because that's like a diamond in the middle world, right? I mean, it's,
yeah.
I
think that if I was getting hand surgery, the doctor would be like, man, we don't really care what screws you bring, but this is sort of you supply it kind of deal. Yeah. And I'd have to do a GoFundMe to get the titanium screws. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, they would just take loose screws out of other parts of me and just use those in place of the
That's perfect. Yeah. I got a lot of them loose up here. Like this whole area, this area, some here, mostly here, all loose screws. Yeah. Yeah. Charles says we all paid for it. Thank you to the VA. That's right.
All right. Yes.
Hey, Barnes said it. If you're not a subscriber, then you suck. So we'll take it.
That was to the point. I mean, that was. I would never say that, but I mean,
But you aren't going to argue with the truth.
I mean, if the peoples have spoken.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. Oh, okay. So before I go into my diatribe of all the things I've been doing lately, what have you been up to? What's going on in the world of Ryan?
Okay, so, we're thrashing like crazy to try to get the truck done because we've got the Classic Truck Nationals coming up in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I think we're going to make it.
Nice.
It was touch and go there for a minute. 2 reasons. One, I am, when I do something, I am a little anal about it. And the smallest thing will set me back a day and a half because I'm just trying to make it exactly how I see it in my head. Doesn't exactly translate to hand, but we get close. And then 2, it's been like miserably hot. And I don't have HVAC out there in the hole. So, it's, I spent 12 hours in the shop from 5:30 in the morning Saturday till, actually more, 13 hours. I stayed out there till 6:30. And when I stopped sweating, I decided it was time to come in. Not good.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
fair point.
Made good headway. I'm waiting on a couple of parts, but it's not going to stop me from getting there. So I'm excited about that. And then, we got back to school, huh? You had to do the photo shoot, put it on the social media. Back to school. My children are larger than they were last year.
Yeah. So everybody's awesome. Are.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a friend of mine to post up pictures of their kids from, for the next year and be like, they shrank. Like that. I don't want anything to be wrong with them, but at the same time, that's really where I'm at. I'm looking for that. If you have pictures of your kids and they've shrunk, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'll try to Photoshop something next year to throw everybody off. But so
your wife would love that. If your kids reverted to 5 years ago. Oh,
my wife loves everything I do.
Yeah.
So we doing that and then back to school. Yeah. Fully, you know what?
Yeah.
And then Jake and Austin both playing football. So we have football practices like 87 times a week. 6 a.m. to 7:45 for Jake, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 at night for Austin. So,
Yay!
But I will say Austin's doing really good. He's playing wide receiver this year, which he's been wanting to do. And Jake just got named starting quarterback for the junior high. So today.
Nice.
So, so excited about that. Their hard work is paying off. So I'm glad.
Hold on. Is the reason that Austin got the wide receiver position because they saw the security cam video of him bailing out of the golf cart and running away?
Kid's got moves. What can I say?
He does. He's fast.
Yeah, he's fast. It's just, does he have hands? Because he didn't have hands on the steering wheel.
He did not. No. For those of you that are like, what the hell are you talking about? The quick and dirty is that Austin was driving their new to them lifted golf cart, perhaps a slight bit faster than he should have been for his skill level. And for some reason went off into the ditch and
there was a car coming and I said, hey, look out for the car, buddy. And he just says, boop.
And as soon as the golf cart hit the ditch, And it wasn't there a mailbox nearby and some other things?
Almost hit a mailbox, went down a little embankment into somebody's front yard, and he was back there watching me and his brother go down the hill.
Yeah, because he bailed out as soon as he knew he could run as fast as it was going.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to rob a bank with that kid. He's going to
leave you stranded.
He's gone.
He gone.
He gone.
That's too awesome. I love it. So the truck is coming along good though.
It is.
Interior is done or almost done?
Almost. I'm waiting on two things. One, seat belts, which have been on back order for the last 6 weeks because they have everything to make them at the factory except for the male clasp that goes into the female locker there. So
the wiener half is not there.
The wiener half is not there. So no seat belts yet. And we got that. Me and Sarah did the headliner. We did the headliner herself the other night. And
how did that turn out?
Turn out awesome, man. We did houndstooth because I did houndstooth and black leather seat and then a houndstooth headliner. We got it set in the truck. I've got it halfway in. I need to go out there and finish it. So I'll probably go out there tonight after this and get it buttoned up. So we're about ready. I need to spend this weekend. I'm going out of town. I'm actually going out of town tomorrow. My uncle passed away last week. So got family coming in town. So we're going to go to the mid-cities area, stay there for a couple of days and kind of have a family gathering. So I lost this weekend. So I've got next weekend and that's it. So we're going to finish it up and it's getting everything ready to put up a booth out there for the Tailgate Throwdown. And yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
I love pressure.
Adam Dory. I saw a meme that said some of y'all's kids look like they're suspended already.
yeah, that's no lie.
Oh, the other night I was telling Lorinda some of the escapades of my high school career, and she was like, "Chad," a few times. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wickman is asking, will your truck be at Race Week?
So
this year or at the combination event next year?
So we're going to go to the combination event, period.
Great.
We're doing that.
And that's going to be with Jake's truck probably as well, right?
I'm trying to get Jake's truck done. And if God willing and the creek doesn't rise and I can get his truck done, then we're going to go in his truck and I'm going to be his co-pilot.
Yes.
If his truck is not done, then we're going to go on my truck and I'm going to be his co-pilot and he's going to pilot my truck. Nice.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And for all of you guys that are out there, and we all talk about kids these days and this and that. Jake is a good kid who works his ass off for his dad on video projects, does his own YouTube channel too. But he is always there helping in the shop. So it is not always about him, but he has earned it and he has saved his money and put a lot of time and effort in on his S10 as well. And it's going to be cool. So very deserving kid. So that's awesome.
Appreciate that. He is a good kid. I'm a lucky dad. I got lucky with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, look how it could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Is it too early to do a call out?
Yeah, right. Smart ass.
It's pretty good on a tree. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
It's pretty good.
I was trying to put you only on the screen, but I can't make it do that. Apparently. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there you go. Just look at that. That's it. Yeah. Really, the fact that he's good looking and smart and all those things.
Yeah. I thought you were saying I.
No. Jake gets it from his mother. Yeah. Who was blind and deaf, apparently. Keith Turk says that his wife Tanya is a member of the Helen Keller Society. And then Daphne was. Every car guy we know, their wives are deaf, blind, some combo, because I don't know how we marry up like that. Somebody said to me the other day, it's actually it was Lyle says, Yeah, racers and car guys bat above their average or pitch above their, I don't know. It's some sports
Hey,
analogy that made sense, even though I didn't know what he was talking about.
buddy, let me tell you something. I was slinging Bondo and primering cars for a living, and I somehow was able to convince my now wife to quit dating the plastic surgeon she was dating and hang out with me. Yeah. Yeah. I used to be
You should stop telling that story because it's harder and harder for me to say how smart she is.
She's so smart. She has a good time. She always laughs.
That's true. She does. I've been there for that. And she gives as good as she gets because your wife is a smart ass in all the right ways.
Oh, dude. Sometimes I look at her and I'm like, who are you?
Yes. She says things and starts laughing, and I can see you like about to cry. It's great. Oh, God. All right. So let's roll into the adventures of Chad lately, which we have Wickham doing the call out. But Jay Terry says, what was the coolest car at Speed Week? And he is talking about Bonneville Speed Week. And I cannot answer that question because there's too damn many of them. Raise your hands if you have not been to Bonneville Speed Week. Yeah, we're fixing that next year. By the way, if you want to go to Speed Week, like we are seriously already planning a trip for a bunch of people to go to Speed Week for next year. So you want to...
yes. The answer is yes.
Okay, good. So Speed Week is unreal. And if you want to see great photos, just go to Bankshift, hit on photo galleries. You'll see all of the photos. I still have a couple more galleries to put up. It's unreal how good it is. I took 2 newbies this year. I took Stephen and Claudia, who live in Salt Lake City area now. And so I stayed at their house and did the hour and 30-minute drive each way, each day. And that way I didn't have to spend $11 jillion on a hotel room in crappy Wendover, Nevada. But another newbie, Adam Dory, was there this year, which he didn't know I was coming and I didn't know he was coming. So that was funny. The salt was really pretty good, not epic, but good. It was hotter than the devil's taint. It was 103 to 104 degrees each day. It was toasty, let me tell you. And as you can imagine, there isn't a single tree or anything else to cause shade out there. So it is just plain hot. You got to wear your big hat. Like these fine hats available from our friend Barrett Green. This is my big hat. I wear this thing all the time out on the salt. I can prove it with one of the photos of me here that I will share. It's funny because the Bonneville is a whole other thing. Okay. If you haven't been, it's not what it's hard to explain because all the cool is awesome, but it also is so much waiting around because the pace is incredibly slow. So you spend a lot of time BSing. Okay. So in this picture here, I am in great company in this photo. So the gentleman in the 200 mile an hour club shirt that you can see also wearing his 200 mile an hour hat is none other than my very good friend, Steve Atwell. Atwell got into the 2 club in Keith's Camaro while racing with David Freiberger. And he is a spectacular human, owns the largest collection of factory Hemi lightweight cars on the planet, and has been a great friend of mine for I don't know how many years. Since the first drag week. So 19 years this year. And he is epic. He's such a great human being. I love Atwell to death. So it's good to hang out with him. Next to Atwell in the brimmed hat with the white t-shirt on that is also a 2 club shirt. And the brimmed hat has a 2 club Chingadera on it, is none other than Keith Turk. And that look on his face is priceless. And it means that he's about to tell me something brilliant, because that's what Turk does. And to my right in the blue shirt is none other than Keith Dorton. And Keith Dorton is engine builder extraordinaire and another exceptional human being. The important thing to note here is that these three guys are just wonderful people. And it is so good to see them all the time. Dorton and I spend most of our time at Bonneville talking about insane engine combos, and him griping at me for not coming to visit him in North Carolina to drink moonshine and hang out at his house. So I am going to fix that very soon, as a matter of fact, which is really good. As Jet Black said, Freiberger, Alex Taylor, and the car owners set another 200-mile-an-hour club record, and that is true. So Keith Turk and his wife Tanya own the Camaro. Freiberger owns the engine that's in it, which is pretty standard most of the time when it's running. But this time he wasn't supposed to be. Alex was supposed to be putting her own engine combo in the car. It spent the last few months at their shop in Arkansas, but unfortunately some parts didn't come in, so they weren't able to. And so Freiberger let them use the engine that was in it, although they converted it over to a carburetor for the blown classic gas coupe. Or actually, maybe they were running it as an altered this week. Altered. I think they were. And so with Alex in the car, and Alex licensed last year in another Camaro, but went out there this year and did a great job. It wasn't easy. They had to make several runs. They had some issues, wouldn't run the number, and the track wasn't there, and several other things. But they persevered and ended up doing it, and set a record in the 235-ish miles an hour range, which was really good. The car was working good. She had to drive it. It was definitely not a gimme, but it was very cool. So glad to see her doing well. She is now hooked, and assured me the next day that she will be back at Bonneville to do more racing there. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
The Jay Terry says Bonneville is a 5-mile dyno test with all the consequences, and you are correct. Kim Fissel, hello. Say hello to your lovely husband as well. So Charles is asking roughly what was the car count. It was 276 cars at the beginning of Speed Week, and just over 300 by the end. And that does not include double entries. So the way that it works at Bonneville, let's say that you and I were in Turk's Camaro, and I was running it as a AA blown classic, gas coupe, and you were going to run it as a AA blown classic fuel altered. There are the altered part, the gas coupe part is the car classification. The other stuff is the engine and or fuel choice, and whether it's supercharged or not. So we could run the exact same car for two different records if all we did was change something on the car to make it fit a different body category. Okay. So in that case, altered is allowed to have the headlights covered and and a big spoiler on the back. Gas coupe has to have the headlights uncovered, headlights and grille uncovered, and is only allowed to have a smaller spoiler in the back. And so by making those changes, if I went out as the altered configuration and set a record, and we loved it and we thought that's what we got, and now it's your turn, Ryan, and you drive it next, and we make those two changes, and you go out and hit another record. So It's, there's a lot of ways. We have, Freiburger and Turk have done this a few times. I have been there for one of the times that they did this, and this being 5 records in 5 days. Not 5 records in the same class, because that happens all the time. 5 records in 5 classes in 5 days. So the way to do that, so that you guys understand, is the only way to do that is if there are some soft records to hit, right? You got to have reasonable records you can hit. So you could run, double A blown classic gas coupe. You could run double A blown classic fuel coupe. So gasoline versus fuel. So you run the same thing. All you do is change fuel. Well, actually, you don't change fuel, but it's another thing. You don't get it certified that it's the legal fuel is all you do. You could then run the same 2 things without the blower on it. So the 2 NA records. So that'd be 4 records. And then you got to pick one more, and it could be a different body category. So you put a belly pan on the car or whatever, right? So yeah, there's a lot of ways to run the same car at a bunch of different records at Bonneville, which is great.
That's cool.
But
there's a lot.
It's very hard. Yeah, it is a lot. The rule book is insane. It's big and thick, and it's cool. So I was rejuvenated at Bonneville. I hadn't been in 3 years. I was rejuvenated because they've made some changes to the modified mini pickup category. And so they made some changes that allow me to do things I wanted to do before and didn't. So I am the S10 land speed truck is back on the burner, so to speak. So I will we're gonna see if we can do that for, I don't know, 2025, 2026 probably. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it ought to be pretty good. So Steven is he's planning on helping. And so it could be really fun. And the goal with that is to be able to go out and go after 2 records. So let's say, the first record I go for, Steven goes for the second. But let's say you and Wickham and Crosby were out there with us helping all week. The goal would be to hit the first record, hit the second record, and then on the last day or 2 days or whatever, to let everybody else go out in the truck to get their licenses, right? Because you have to license.
Yeah.
And at least get everybody their licenses so that everybody still gets to drive, even if everybody isn't going for a record. You get your licenses going. And then, the next year, maybe it's, that you say, hey, I want to go after this record. I'll build the motor. I'll provide the motor for this year. So then you and me would hit a record, or whatever. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
so I want to make it like the community property race car, if you will, so that everybody can get something, out of it. So it should be pretty cool.
Oh, what is that?
Birkdahl special.
Uh-huh.
Message me. I have no money, but message me.
Hit me up.
Yeah. Danny Fat Cub, I don't know anything about what's going on with Cole's truck. Honestly, I haven't talked to him about it in months. So whatever he's posting on socials is what it's doing. Doug DeLay says, I'm in as a driver and a wrench. Hey, it's a riot being there. It is a whole other thing. Let me, I'll show you a couple of deals. So this is the one of my favorite cars on the Salt is the, let me just give you a look at some of Claudia's photos so you can see some cool stuff. I'll just jam through them because why not? All right, so this is a modified Roadster that's down track a little bit from the starting line. So you can't get, you can be on the starting line. You can't be on the starting line unless you're media or with the car, but you can be 30 feet away from it. we can stand next to the racetrack and shoot photos for the first 100 feet or so. And then we can be anywhere along the side of the racetrack on the return road, which is at the starting line. It's about 1/8 of a mile away from the racetrack. At the 5 mile, it's more like a quarter or more away. So you're away. You got to use the long lens to shoot photos there and stuff. But we spent considerable time down there. This is the Camaro that Alex drove. The grill and the headlights are covered. They're clear, but they're covered. And it has a big spoiler on the back. There's Adam Dory. That's Meg, Alex's sister. And I believe that Alex was getting her fire suit on and such at that moment. I don't think she was in the car yet. Adam and I having some fun, laughing, and then realizing that Claudia was taking our picture. So, making sure she knew she was number one. So this is the fastest the Camaro has ever been, 261.602. I have been 238 in that Camaro. And it was fun. It was definitely, I say that I was spinning at 238, but it was still fun. Let's see here. So this is from the starting line. That's the return road. So that's how far away the return road is, which the cars, like we'll show you this as Alex gets pushed. So this is the 911 Roadster. This is one of the most famous roadsters on earth. It runs on nitromethane. The guy with his back to you, who's going to be driving it, is Donnie Cummins. Donnie works MSD Race Pack Holly, also a fabulous dude. He's been super fast. So here's Alex getting pushed off the starting line. The car is running. It's in neutral. And when it gets up to speed, she'll click it into gear. And she does it a little different than the rest of us in the car. And I was laughing at her about it. She told me to shut up because it was what made her comfortable. So I said, go on with your bad self. So that thing has a Tex Racing 4-speed in it. Fourth gear is actually like 0.91. So it is overdriven a tiny bit, but it's a clutchless 4-speed. You don't need the clutch to shift. So I was giving Alex a hard time because she was using the clutch to do the 1-2 shift. And I'm like, just grab that thing, honey. And she's like, shut up. I'm more comfortable with that. I do jam it into third and fourth. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Not going to make her any faster at the record she's going for. Not a big deal. It's just me giving Alex a hard time because that's what we do. Okay. But anyway, so the car will get pushed to 40 mile an hour or so. It looks much faster because of the magic of cameras, but there you can see, so she's driving off the truck, and the truck then goes to the left over to that return road. Okay. Push vehicle can push all the way to the 1 mile if they wanted. Nobody does that except us when we're running a 2-cylinder big block, which we did one year. This is Donnie getting in the 911 Roadster. You got motorcycles out there. John Beck owns this car. It's out of Chico, California, where I went to school. And this thing is a 300 mile an hour Roadster. Or capable. The record they were going after this week was 282 miles an hour, and Donnie went 284 and some change to get the record. If the salt was better, they could have been at 300, but the thing makes all the horsepowers, and it was just all over the place. Roadsters require a certain level of testicular fortitude, and also some brains that aren't on. You can be smart. Screws. Like Donnie's real smart. Yeah, but he turns off his brain to drive this because Roadsters are dumb. Roadsters are awesome, but they're dumb because the back tires are always in a race with the front tires. and all they're trying to do is pass the front tires, and the front tires are the smart tires, and they know that if the back tires get ahead of them, that's bad. So they do everything they can to stay up front, but the back tires, they don't understand sometimes. So, as Mike Cook Jr. says, they are the fuel altereds of Bonneville. You are 100% right. And Mike Cook Jr., dude, I love you. I did not get to see Mikey this year when I was out there. They were busy, and quite frankly, Mikey, I just couldn't do it, dude. I was having a real hard time. I know you were too. Mike's dad, Mike Cook Sr., passed away earlier this year, and I have to tell you, when you talk about fine human beings at Bonneville, I have to say this. Mike will always be one of the icons of Bonneville, and one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. He did so much for me on the salt, and to him, it was no big deal. Every time he ever saw me anywhere, he would scream, "Bank shift!" And the only time he called me Chad was when we were standing there talking to each other. He brought me over to his pit anytime sponsors or anybody, school groups or anything were there on the salt. He was always the ambassador of the sport, and he brought me over every time and introduced me to people, and told everybody nobody does more coverage than Chad at Bonneville. And while he's right, to this day we do more coverage than anybody. He never needed to do that, and it was awesome. And the times we got to spend when Mikey Jr. Was running his Nostalgia Funny car and all of that. They are the family, the Stone Woods and Cook. They are the Cook and Stone Woods and Cook. Amazing stuff. To have your dad's Roadster out there, dude. It brought a tear to my eye. So I love you, brother. Seriously, like, amazing. They are the Cook family is the first family of land speed racing. Like, legit. It's awesome. I'll show the Roadster. I was there on day one, and Mike wasn't there yet, but I got some really cool pictures of the Roadster sitting in the pit area, which the pit area at Bonneville is also a weird thing to most people. You have to have a tarp down. You cannot park a car on the salt directly. That way, if oil or anything gets down, it isn't on the salt. Everybody leaves all their stuff on the salt, and you don't have to worry about your junk, because at 8 p.m. everybody is required to leave the salt. There's nobody on it all night. Everything is just sitting out there all by itself. And it sounds funny, but that's how it is.
That's
it is. And it's cool. You're not allowed to camp on the salt. You can't be out there overnight. You can camp at the bend in the road, which is down the, road a piece, but yeah, it's a whole different thing. And, the Cook family's been out there Mikey's whole life, obviously. And it's way cool. Here's a group of photos I'll show you, actually, that show you some of the mix of things that you'll see out there, from hot rods to race cars and everything in between. So, I always get a lot of hot rods while we're there. So, come on, cab over Ford with a pitch and Chevy pickup on it, neat as hell. Lots of traditional hot rods. I wouldn't drive anything I care about on the salt. Never. I've never brought a vehicle I own on the salt. I have rented a car every single time, because it just eats everything away in 5 minutes. That thing right there. Oh my God.
Oh,
right.
Dude.
Take my money. Oh my God. That thing is rad.
I
know
God, special place in my heart for those cars. I told myself one day I'll own one. I don't know if that day will ever come, but man, that
right?
Beautiful.
So simple and so sexy.
I like that one too.
I know. Yeah, they were. Oh,
I also like that one and that one.
I like all of them. Look at this thing. This thing is a trip.
Dude.
I know. There's so much cool stuff. Okay, so yeah, this is more walk around. See the orange Toyota? That was my rental truck.
Ooh.
Not hard to spot Chad on the Salt this year.
Hey, where did I park?
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, it's still burning my retinas. Yes. So Studebakers, very famous land speed cars, horrible aerodynamically. That's what's funny. These cars are significantly better backwards than forwards from an aerodynamics perspective. They are. I mean, genuinely,
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is. Oh yeah. This one has a centrifugally supercharged flathead in it.
Oh.
Corvair. Everything at the Salt doesn't go 200 miles an hour. That's the other thing. Everybody I run with is running on records in the 200 plus mile an hour range. But the reality is there are plenty of records out there that are literally like 50, 60, 80, 100, 130, 150 mile an hour. And it's no less of an accomplishment for somebody to hit a record that's been standing for years and years and years at 143 miles an hour. Like that's still, I mean, because it's the combo that makes it hard to run, you know? So,
right. And so that actually brings up a question that I have that maybe some people who watch this might have. So let's just say, okay, I have this Corvair here, right? And I'm going after the fastest Corvair on the planet. Right. So in that class, I mean, obviously you don't run the full 5 miles, right?
Well, no. Yeah. Okay. No, you don't run the 5 miles in the class that this Corvair is running in because I can't see the class, but I'm going to assume it still has the motor in the back and everything. So that would be a small motor. So it's going to run slower, which is not always the case. But anyway, in this case, it is. So if it runs less than 175 miles an hour, it has to run on the short course. And the short course is 3 miles instead of 5 miles. So there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Berkdahl says that it did run 175 plus.
Whoa.
Well, giddy up. Yeah. Then it may be a Corvair Spider or something. Yeah.
A Corvair. I once rode in a Corvair and it caught on fire, just like they're supposed to do.
Right.
You can imagine we were at 20 miles an hour and I felt like I was going to die. So you can imagine 175.
Right. Well, and Pat Cook says the 50cc motorcycle record is like 96 miles an hour. 100%. There are, I mean, the nebulous theorem, are like a couple 100, 200, 300cc motorcycle engine streamliners, and they've been like 211 million miles an hour. Like it's retarded. It's so it's nuts. So absolutely nuts. This is the Mariani Farms Roadster, and it is sexy personified. So is everything that the Marianis have. Mm-hmm. So this is a 3-wheel motorcycle. Okay, it's a streamlined motorcycle setup. It's got the outrigger out there, which is pretty cool. You see the Datsun over there with the severe chop. We'll go over some of that. So this is a rear engine modified roadster or a lakester. It could be any of those. Where is it is a lakester. So it is a C-gas lakester. Oh, this one is a V12 actually. It's a V12, so it looks like an inline 6 from each side, but it's really a V12. It sounded really, really cool. And so that is a C-gas lakester. This is a lakester as well. This is a AA fuel lakester. So this is no blower, right? So this is the equivalent of a modern injected nitro, what they would call top alcohol dragster. So it's no blower, but injected on nitromethane. This was Fast Freddy Dannenfelser's car, and he passed away, and some other people are campaigning the car, and it's awesome because Fast Freddy was a badass. No question. So yeah, that's a bad bitch right there. Let me tell you. Yep. Look at that.
Dude, that's sweet. And the pictures, I mean, just the sky, the salt. It's
dude.
Endless eye candy.
Right?
It always has been,
Oh, yeah. Well, the beauty of Bonneville is that the salt is the world's greatest bounce board. So there's no bad shots because the white reflects the light up on the sides of every car. So there's no, even when you're on the backlit side of a car, you can still see out the whole side of the car perfect. It really is amazing. Here's a G blown gas, and I'm assuming it's going to be coupe. And this is, or it could be production. The production class means that the body is completely 100% as delivered from the factory. The only thing you're allowed to do is take off the mirrors. So,
Passat?
No, it's Volkswagen Jetta, I believe.
Yeah, Volkswagen. It's a Jetta. Okay,
I think it's a Jetta, but it could be a Passat. I don't know. So like 240, 260Z. This one is an F blown fuel modified sports. Modified sports is a class for sports cars. Okay. That are modified, obviously, in a variety of ways. We're not even going to touch on rules in the grand scheme of things because it's too much stuff. Yeah. You can see that the back of it has the big spoiler on it, but the rest of the body is pretty well normal, other than the nose. But this is the trick part on this. So all of you yahoos with turbos hanging out of the hood are a bunch of weirdos unless you do it this way. Because note the hood scoop.
Yeah.
So when this is down, the air is coming through the scoop in the turbo, and the exhaust is going out of the back of the scoop and over the car.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty snazzy, let me tell you.
Dang streamline.
Yeah. Another second-gen Camaro, or Firebird in this case.
Yeah. Okay.
Wrong year to do it with, but hey, good for them. The Thunder Chicken's been around for a long time, and it is fast. That nose is not ideal, but hey. Yeah. This is okay. So this is a rear engine modified roadster. So this thing is AA, meaning the engine is bigger than 500 cubic inches, blown fuel, rear motor modified roadster. Okay. Rear engine modified roadster. So the body, you will notice from here, the body is a 23T body, right? This is where the firewall would have been, on that. So they extended in front of there and put the motor where the passenger compartment was. And it looks like a Lakester. It's a modified roadster. So
that is modified.
Yeah. The salt shaker. This thing had a 2.3 liter Ford motor in it, which is great. Very cool little Monza. Now this, is a bitchin' little car. This is a Honda. A Honda CVCC. Okay, so this dude is getting out of it right now because there was a problem. So from the firewall forward is all not Honda. From the firewall back, it is a AA blown fuel comp coupe. So a comp coupe needs to be a factory bodied thing from the firewall back, but it must be chopped. That is a requirement. It must be chopped 3 inches or more. So that's what makes it a comp coupe. And then the nose must be extended by a minimum of, I believe, 24 inches or something like that. But everybody goes much longer than that. This thing is,
dude, that's wild.
Right?
I found 2 of those in a junkyard. They were complete. and they wanted $300 a piece for them, and I almost bought them just because I'd never seen one.
Right.
And
because they had a motorcycle engine in those.
Yeah.
In the left rear corner, I believe it was left rear, right rear, literally inside the quarter panel in the back of the car was an air-cooled like 400 or 600 cc motorcycle engine.
Yeah, one of the ones that were there that I looked at had that, and then the other one was actually a front engine 3-cylinder. It was a little newer one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That would have been like the last ones before they became a Civic instead of a CVCC.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Streamliner,
Mm.
newer Camaro, Streamliner, Streamliner. So this Streamliner is crazy because this is the windshield. Home Slice sits in here. Those are side windows. Home Slice is looking through this son of a bitch and out the front.
Wow.
No, sir.
No,
sir. No, sir.
Dude, these guys and gals are a whole nother breed.
Oh, yeah. The Camaro.
I mean,
belly tanker.
wow.
This is also a Lakester. That's what a belly tanker would be.
Mm-hmm.
Another little Streamliner. This one's wee little bitty.
It is.
Cool though, huh?
Yeah, that's wild.
Okay, so this is a vintage Roadster. I don't see the classification on it, so I'm not 100% sure what class. So this thing, we talked to this guy, me and Steven. So XO means this is a vintage engine. It's got a flathead in it. Probably. And it is vintage gas comp coupe.
Wow.
So another set of rules for the vintage classes. There's vintage classes, classic classes, and then regular.
I'm assuming it's a Fleetline Chevrolet. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. No, yes, it is a Chevrolet. Sorry, it is. It has GMC on the grill, but yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Right? Team SOB, you got to love it. 1941 Studebaker.
That looks obtainable.
Yeah. I mean, look at that thing.
Oh, my God.
That, right?
Dang.
I know.
Dang.
Yep. This thing is so cool looking. It's just went out of AMC Hornet. Yes, thank you. I wanted to say Holden, and I'm like, it's not a Holden. Yeah, it's a Hornet.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And it's running a classic fuel altered.
Wow.
So it's 440 cubic inch AMC power, it says. Classic means that it can't have fuel injection on it, so it's carbureted. Fuel meaning that it is, fuel means that it either is running on gasoline that they are not having the tank sealed to say that it is the spec fuel, or that it is running on methanol or nitromethane or nitrous. All those things qualify as fuel. So, and then altered is covered headlights, big spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pretty cool looking car, huh?
That is wild. Yeah. Jet Black says that's big for an AMC, isn't it? Yeah, that is big. But it has to be a stock block, right? They can't. Can they run an aftermarket block? Okay, they can run.
No, you can run whatever you want. There is no rule on. So that's the thing, is that at Bonneville, there is no rules as to, well, I shouldn't say that. In some of the, like if you're in XO or XF, like the vintage stuff, then it, in order to qualify for that, it has to be a flathead or this, that, or the other. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, in any of the normal classes that have AA through, I don't remember, M or whatever it is that are the letters for the engine sizes, it doesn't matter what make it is. It does not matter whose block it is. None of those things matter. The vehicle, they had to have produced 500 or more of the vehicle. But that's the only rule. If it's in a category that, starts with a stock bodied thing. But otherwise, no, you can run a billet block and whatever it just doesn't matter,
Okay.
So
these cars here have always intrigued me because I have seen many of them in many different forms. Pro Street, I've seen them in form, gassers. And I will stare at those cars all day long, and I still can't imagine why somebody bought those things new back in the day.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Bullet Nose Studebaker was, it's awesome, but it was weird.
Yeah, it's awesome, but it's not.
It's uglier than hell. It's only cool because it's old,
Mm-hmm.
Square body dually, being ruined.
Great truck,
being ruined.
What record did he set?
Yeah,
at least amount of
trailer towing. He set a record for the fact that it came back another year without rusting away.
Oh wow!
Belly tankers,
little 4-cylinder job.
Look at this.
Is that a Courier or Love?
It's a Toyota.
Oh
yeah. Ooh is right.
Good golly.
C fuel modified mini pickup.
Man,
sexy.
I like that. That is.
I do too. Yeah.
Corrado.
That is a Scirocco. Yep. So there is a class for vintage race cars. Okay. And obviously, this is an old Sprint or Midget, The Tackman YOLO. Gas Lakester. It was a belly tanker originally. Or is a belly tanker. It was made from a belly tank. Old Ford in production. So see, nothing allowed to be done to the body except the scoop to bring in some air. Otherwise, this body is 100% stock. Bumpers, headlights, everything's got to be in it.
And that seems like a class a guy can get into.
Oh, yeah. Now, keep in mind, regardless, unless the car is a lightweight car, every car has to have the same safety stuff in it, regardless of how fast it goes. They have to have a lot of roll cage, all this containment, fire systems, all that stuff. So that price is going to be the same regardless. But still, it's cool.
Is it different certification? So I'm used to, certifications for roll cages for drag racing. Is it different for?
Yes, it's Bonneville specific. And they, SCTA does a chassis inspection when you show up at Speed Week. So, yep.
Is that the only place you can get them inspected? So say a guy builds one of those, who do you have to find?
Oh, no. No, there's land speed, clubs that are around the country. Most of them are Southern California area, but still there are people that can come and do an inspection ahead of time. And like Dan Warner, used to be in charge of tech at Bonneville. He retired recently. If you're watching, I love you too, dude. I missed Dan so much because he wasn't on the salt, and I'm so used to ending the night hanging out with him on the salt that I called him while I was on the salt because I'm like, dude, I need a dose of Dan right now. And he was laughing at me, but Dan would travel and come look at your project. The smart way to go is if you're building a new thing is to start sharing photos. If it's something out of, the norm, is to start sending photos to the technical committee members and stuff to have them check it out. But everybody's available for that. So it's pretty cool.
And they have their own set of rule book. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like NHRA or IHRA.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Big rule book. It's thick, has all the records and all the rules in it. So it's pretty cool. Jet Black is asking, is there an electric class? There is. And they made some changes to it, which kind of annoyed me, but I'm hoping they'll end up getting good again. I shouldn't say again, the rules are all fine. But I want some additional hybrid rules to come into play, and they're not doing that yet. But yes, they have electric. So basically, every class, and this is not quite, but all of the lettered classes for an engine category, double A, B, double A, B, C, D, all those, all of any cars that would compete in any of those classes. And again, I'm doing this very generically speaking. Instead of having a double A or a B or whatever, there is an electric letter system. So you could run like Turk's Camaro as an electric if you wanted. And go out there and set records. And there are almost no records yet with electric. So that's a wide open thing. So, yeah. So keep that in mind. Good S10. This is a well-built truck. Extended cab, which is much better than a standard cab, but not as good as a crew cab. The longer the roof on a truck, the better. You're allowed to put the tonneau cover on and air dam and what have you. They have chosen not to do an aftermarket air dam. Instead, they put all of the Extreme Series body kit on this thing, which is not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, and it's LS swapped and what have you. So, yeah, nice truck. I don't know what it ran. I did not see.
Another dude. I do like those. I think those were great looking cars.
Oh yeah,
those were.
Yeah, this is the one after Bullet Nose. So
yeah,
but yeah, these are much better aerodynamically in reverse than they are forward. Interesting little fact for those of you that aren't in the know on Bonneville stuff. So you must run a racing wheel. Is all the rule says. And that's very wide open. They do not have a rule about the size of studs that you must have on a wheel, but they do have a rule that the lug nuts must be 1 inch in diameter. And that is so that if stuff goes wrong, it does not rip the lug nut through the wheel. Mm. One thing to note, people, is that Bonneville is considerably more dangerous to compete in than drag racing.
Oh, yeah.
Considerably. Because this Mustang, for example, that would have weighed maybe 3,600 pounds, as a normal Mustang, at Bonneville, because they're trying to get no drag, so any wing or spoilers or anything that they do run, which they can't in this one because it's production class, are there just to stabilize the car, not to provide downforce, because downforce is drag. So instead, they add physical downforce by putting weight in the car. So it is not unlikely for a car like this that should weigh 3,600 pounds to instead weigh 5,600 pounds. Oh. And I know of door cars that weigh 7,000 and 8,000 pounds. Whoa. That are out there on the salt. So the reason that's important is that when stuff goes bad, it goes bad for a very, very, very long time.
God, what do they do? Fill the doors up with lead?
Lots of weight. Very specific rules on how to put it in, but lots of weight.
And I'm just going to add that I am a closeted fan of the 71 through 73 Big Nose Mocks. Those are a big favorite of mine. And when I see one, I'll get a little giddy inside.
That explains a few things.
Yeah. I mean, it would be better if it had a big block Chevrolet in it, but
True. So this gentleman, we talked to this guy, and he was just sitting there in the door of the car, and I said, "How are you?" And he said, "Fine." And I asked him what the record was, and I believe it was 150 miles an hour. This thing has 3 2-barrel Hollies on it on a custom intake that he made. It has a dry sump oiling system in it. It has all kind. Hold on, let me see if the other side. Yes. It has electronic distributor and stuff like that. This is a fuel cooler up here. That it has, the fuel cooler. The dude has been running it forever. And if I remember right, the record is 154 miles an hour.
Yeah. And that's an old Stoll Bolt 235.
Yeah. Well, it's a 292, I think he
Oh, is that a
said.
292?
I
Okay.
think he said it was a 292 now. Yeah.
Okay. Still, it's awesome. I love the six slingers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was cool. We were loving it. Volkswagen. Okay, so this thing has a bunch of records. So you want to know what these things run? Here you go. This is a Volkswagen.
Wow.
And so it's G or H is what they've run it in every time. So this is in 2016, they started G Classic Fuel Altered, and they went 106. Then they went and set it again at 113. In 17, set it at 134, again at 146, again at 158. Now, the reason that it has 3 records in the same year is because if you go out and run a run that is quicker than the current record, that qualifies you for a record. You go to impound, the car has to stay there overnight, you run the next morning on your record return run. If you run again and the average between your second run and your qualifying run is higher than the current record, you have set a record. Now, let's say your record was 100 miles an hour that you were trying to beat, and you went 150 miles an hour to qualify. But then you went out and only ran 51 miles an hour on the next run. Your average would still be 101 miles an hour. It would be a new record. You have set a record. If you go out and set a record again the next day, same day, whatever, you set another record. Like you can set record after record after record during the week. So that's why these people have multiple records. Now, you'll notice that they set the G Classic Blown Gas Altered record at 134. The second record, though, was G Classic Blown Fuel Altered at 146, right? So they either changed fuel or, more likely, just didn't get the tank sealed, right? Which makes it fuel category. Then they also set the G Classic Blown Gas Coupe record, which would have required them to like undo the covering on the headlights or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's 3 classes, 3 records. But that's awesome. Could have set the record 3 times on their, on the same class even. So yeah.
Makes sense.
And here's the H Classic Blown Gas Coupe, only 94 miles an hour. H Classic Production, 93 miles an hour. And then H, which is a smaller engine. Here's these records. So, I mean, they've been 169 miles an hour on that car.
Man.
I venture to say not many people in this world would say that going 169 miles an hour in a Carmen Ghia was on the list of smart things.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say smart, but it's definitely been on my list. I love Carmen Ghias.
I love
Carmen Ghia. I'm not a big Volkswagen guy, but I love them. And just based off that quarter panel, I got to say, hats off to the officials that run that event, because how the hell do you keep up with 270 plus cars that are running in all those different categories with all those different damn designations? That is insane.
Well, and here's what's interesting. So 275 cars this year, which is down because the weather's been so bad the last 3 years and the salt and all those things, right? So I think that impacted people coming. Here's the thing. I've been there when there's 500 cars. The most that have ever been there is 500 and something cars for Speed Week. 350 is really more a normal year, but 275 was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome. There are a ton of great photos. I'm going to be posting a photo up on my Facebook page. I meant to do it already and I did not. I will share it with you guys. I believe it was Monday. Let's see. Let me find this photo. This photo was taken when Alex was had just run the record and gotten her got into the 2 Club, so they were getting ready to do all the stuff. And I got this picture of Keith Turk. And so if you'd like to put a caption in now, you can. And I'm going to, or if you want to wait, I'm going to post it on my Facebook page as well. But this one is pretty funny. There are so many ways this could go. So, yeah, let her have it. Whatever you want to do. Give it to him. But if you doubt how exciting this was for somebody like Alex, who's been, very fortunate to do lots of cool things and make a lot of accomplishments, just look at the look on her face right there. And everybody around, we were all smiling and happy. And that's Mark Gewirtz in the background, famed photographer, the head guy behind all the photography and National Dragster and everything else. So yeah, Alex was rightfully very excited about doing this. It was very cool. It's a to-do. You got to sign a bunch of stuff. Later on, they did, the 2 Club ceremony. The 2 Club gives you your red hat, which this gentleman over here is wearing. To get a red hat is a really, really big deal. And to put this in perspective, there are less people in the 200 mile an hour club at Bonneville than have climbed Mount Everest by a ton. Like 10 times more people have climbed Mount Everest than are in the 2 Club. It's insane. Now a blue hat is for a 300 mile an hour record, and a black hat is for a 400 mile an hour record, and 400 or above. The greatest deal, I'll show you a funny one that you're going to laugh at. Good friend of ours, Chris Raschke, is now the pilot. Oh, before I forget, actually, here, I'm going to show you here's the Cook family's Roadster. Right here. This thing is just, that car has sat for 15 years. And in honor of his dad, Junior pulled it out of the mothball fleet and with a group of great people got it back ready to rock and roll. And it's super cool. Super, super cool.
That is awesome. You
can see that the lettering is like right there. It looks all normal. But from here, you can tell that the Junior was added because it used to be Senior. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Great car. Anyway, so what was I going to pull up? Shit. I can't remember.
You were in the hats with
yes. Yeah. So Chris Raschke is now the guy driving the Speed Demon. And you heard that George Poteet had passed away. Yeah. And another great human being. I had so many great stories with George on the Salt. I really, really genuinely missed him out there this year. He died just, a month and a half ago or something. It was not long. So Raschke is the head honcho at ARP for sales and operations and all kinds of stuff. And he's a great dude. So Raschke went, he set a couple of records this year at Speed Week, but the first one was 389 miles an hour or something. and it was his qualifier. So they took the car to impound, and now he was in charge of getting the toolbox to impound. So that is Rashke riding the pit cart.
Like an old chuck wagon.
And everybody started coming out from behind their trailers. This is the return road. Okay. And I am dying, and I'm just holding the camera out the window, and he's just laughing. I'm like, dude, you just couldn't be enough with the streamliner. And he's sitting there. Afterwards, he goes, "You're going to put these up, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "My wife is going to yell at me." Oh, so good. Yeah, all these people taking pictures and stuff. Rashke is good people, and it was really funny. So yeah, we had a good time. Bonneville was awesome. So yes, please put it on your list if you have never been. The best deal is to come the first couple of days. The crowd really tapers off after Monday as far as spectators, but there are a lot of spectators, and they line up, and people bring out motorhomes or tents or easy ups and all the things, and like barbecue and hang out and just chill. And it's great. This is the first time I've ever been to Bonneville where somebody didn't land a plane on the salt and park it by the starting line and sit under the wings. That's normally a every year thing, and it didn't happen this year. So yeah, it was cool. Charles Wickham says, "I was told more people have walked on the moon than there are in the 400 mile an hour club." I believe that used to be the case, Charles. I don't know if it is anymore. Berkdahl says, I think 17 people have driven or set records over 400. So records over and driven are two different things. So it may be that the number with records is less than have walked on the moon, but more people have made it to 400. But that's a huge deal. Like, I mean, I happen to have multiple friends who fall into that category, which I just realized, which is really hilarious. But this is one of those times where, like, I tell you all the time how much I appreciate the things I get to do and how I really try and make sure I remind myself of that. Yeah. This is one of those moments when I realize things that I'd never even thought about, that I know off the very top of my head, I know 6 people who have been over 400 miles an hour.
Wow. Yeah. You're talking to a guy who's been 166 on an unnamed road in a Cobra.
Dude, 166 is flying. Don't care who you are. Yeah.
Dude.
Uh-huh. Yeah. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I give it up to anybody who can go over. 200 miles an hour for an extended period of time. Like, it's one thing to blast from 0 to 200 or 300 miles an hour in a short amount of time, but to have to stay in it and stand in it and be in it and ride that pony for 3 to 5 miles is it's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, I can tell you that the first time, this thing was brand new this year, and it is all carbon, unbelievably sexy, built in 11 months. It's a streamliner because the wheels are covered. It was built as a Lakester, and then they canopied the wheels just because of the record they were going after. But if they pull the canopies off, they can run it as a Lakester as well, which is a pretty smart deal. This thing is gorgeous.
Gazillion, billion dollars. That is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mariani Roadster. There's the 4-door S10, which is more like what you should do.
I'm noticing in all these photographs an insane lack of square body Chevys.
Yeah.
Do we know what the record is for square body Chevys out there?
That it doesn't matter that it's a square body Chevy. It just matters that it's a truck. And so it fits in the truck category.
I'm talking about in the world, it doesn't matter. Do we know how many square body Chevys have ever gone out there and tried to set a record?
I don't know. We'd have to do some checking. But it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
I say that they're considerably smaller than a bunch of the other stuff, so maybe it's not as bad as we think. I don't know. We'd have to see.
Maybe we play
okay, so enough of this frivolity because we have more things to talk about before, and it's already an hour and 20 minutes in. So the other thing that I went and did recently was the Havlic's Fastest Street Car Shootout. I went and did the live stream last weekend. I forgot. Oh no, I did send one picture. I didn't take hardly any photos. I was live streaming the whole time. But let me show you something right here that I got to see and you did not get to see.
I don't want to talk about this part. I didn't want to talk about this part, but I guess we'll get
and so Wickham, I got to see this and you didn't get to see this. And I got to see this and I said all kinds of nasty things while I was around it. Oh, what's going on? What did I do? Help me.
You broke the internet.
Okay. I didn't mean to. Okay, there we go. The cars, Camaros were there. I'll only show you this one picture. I will tell you that Havlic's did a great job. There were 100 really bitchin' rides that were there. It was so neat. It's just so neat. We really had a great time looking at all of these epic historic cars. I guarantee you next year will be considerably bigger. They're already talking about the fact that they're going to make it a 2 or 3 day event for next year. It was 1 day event this year. They did a great job. It was super fun. Yes, this is Rick Dyer's old 69 Camaro. There were so many neat things there. It was,
dude, I was working on the truck while I was watching this the entire day. And I was like, dang it.
Dude, Bernie's, Monty Bernie's Big Bertha 55 Chevy was there. And the guy that owns it now went out there and made some hits and stuff and then decided all he cared about was to do a big burnout. So the next time he came up, he literally did a 900 or 1,000 foot burnout in that car and then lifted and then just coasted right on off the racetrack, like never backed it up or anything. He came up in the tower later and me and Tucci were talking to him along with Adam Dory. And I'm like, dude, that was the most badass burnout ever. And he was all giddy. I said, dude, that definitely has won the burnout contest. And he laughed. And I'm like, hey, a free set of tires is a free set of tires. And he goes, what? And I go, the best burnout of the weekend wins a free set of Mickey Thompson tires. And he goes, I didn't even know about that. He literally just did it to put on a show and it was epic. It was so damn fun. It was awesome. What was really bitchin' was the first run that he made. He still did a big, nice burnout. And Tucci was talking about something and he comes up there and starts doing the burnout and Tucci goes, full smoky burnout. And I mean, dude, the hair on my neck stood up and I'm in the tower pumping the air, hugging Tucci. I mean, it was, dude, it was epic. How awesome it was.
It was awesome. I was excited for you and everybody up there. It was cool hearing Tucci on the horn again. It was neat, man.
It was cool because Adam had never met Tucci and never announced with him, obviously. And I've known Tucci for years and years, and I've announced with him a bunch of times. And I love Tucci. And he is a great person and awesome to announce with. We've announced a ton of different kinds of events together. And so it was really cool for me, not only to be up there because we're friends and we were having fun and they were announcing and I was grabbing a mic here and there, but to see Adam, like Adam was having so much fun working with Tucci. And which I know what it was like my first time with him, so it was cool. It was cool to see. It was a fun thing. So What was your favorite car that you saw when you were watching?
So, okay. So, I have to give you a little backstory. So, when I was a kid growing up, around the corner from me, there was a girl named Amber House, and her dad's name was Jeff. And she ended up being my girlfriend in third grade. We went to go see A League of Their Own together. It was our first day.
Nice.
Yeah. And her dad was the cool dad because he had a drag bike. He played drums in the metal band, and he worked at GM. Right.
Dude.
Yeah. And I had a go-kart. She had a go-kart. It was a great time. We were match made in third grade heaven back then.
Yeah.
And one day her dad comes home and he's got a 68 Camaro on his trailer, and he's backing it in the garage. And I was riding my bike up, and I'm like, what is that? And he goes, it's my Camaro. I said, I didn't know you had a Camaro. And he goes, yeah, I've had it since I was 15. Pro Street, had big tires underneath it, big blower sticking out of the hood, and on the back he had on the glass, I'll never forget it, all throttle, no bottle.
That's awesome.
And so he had built that car to run Fastest Street Car with. And he had transformed the car to do that back then when it was hot.
Yeah.
And Annette Summer and a couple of other of those racers had come to Texas Raceway to test because they were going to be doing a race at Ennis.
Yeah, so they were at the Motorplex.
Yes. And
but they went to Kennedale to do the testing. I love that. And
freaking he went there to go see what his car would do against him, and he beat Annette Summer at Kennedale and was like ecstatic. And so when she pulled back into her pits, they started talking, and he was like, I want to get into this deal. I've been racing this car since he found it underneath the tree when he was 15. He rebuilt the whole car, raced it all through the late 70s into the 80s. And he was a big drag bike guy too. Yeah. And so anyway, I got to meet her when I was a kid. So I'll never forget seeing all the ads in the magazine with the pink Camaro. So, and for me to see Annette Summer and her pink Camaro that virtually hasn't changed.
It has not.
And I was just like, it's amazing because Amber's dad, Jeff, still has the 68 Camaro, and it is still the exact same as it was when I was a child.
Really?
It is dark.
Oh, you need to get them to bring it next year.
Dude,
even if they don't race it, just to bring it to show it.
I will definitely talk to him about doing that because that car he fires it up and drives around the block here and there. He'll never get rid of it, but he still races pro stock and pro modified bike. He's 65 or 6, and he's still going 185 to 200 miles an hour on a motorcycle.
That's awesome.
He's killing it. But yeah,
well, when Annette came up to the tower,
yep,
I was giddy to meet her. And what was funny is that I'm talking to her and she's talking to me at the same time. And Tucci is laughing at us because she's like, oh my God, I wanted to come up here and meet you. And I'm saying, oh my God, I'm glad you're up here so I can meet you. Yeah. And we're laughing. And I mean, I've seen her around before, and I'm sure, like she said, I'm sure we've been somewhere at the same time and said hi or whatever. Right. But, that car, the last time it went down a racetrack was 1998. Wow. Okay. 15 years ago, it went to a car show.
Wow.
It hasn't moved out of the garage in 15 years.
Wow.
They thrashed on that thing for the last 2 months to get it ready to go. And the only problem they had was that the brake master cylinder failed. And so it wouldn't hold on the line, because keep in mind, clutch. Lenko car.
Yeah. You had to drive back when you had to drive it.
Oh, dude.
All of you.
And she was the nicest lady. It was so cool. I thanked her profusely and gave her a big hug for, just coming out and putting on the show. And she was like every one of the people with any of those old historic cars. Every one of them were smiling from ear to ear. Some of them had not seen each other in 25 years. I mean, they were like, they all said, I feel 15 years younger today. It's like we just stepped back in time. This is amazing. And the crowd loved it. I mean, there wasn't a single negative about the entire weekend. Even the oil down wasn't, the one oil down we had was not good. but ultimately the spectators got to walk around and see everything anyway.
Yeah.
So it was fine, you know?
Dude, yeah. And yeah, Clint Cox, stick shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, he's a big bug guy. He's putting on a bug deal, and he's got a fast bug. I know him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got some cool stuff coming up. But yeah, dude, listen. I that whole genre of those guys and girls that race those cars back in the early 90s, that started I mean, basically the way we look at fast street cars today. I mean, the fact that Rocky Mountain Race Week people were there, I mean, that's the extension. That's where it's at now, you know, like and it's still alive and well, and it's so cool. And they basically started. I mean, they started that.
Well, yeah, really? Because here's how this all happened, right? Hot Rod started letting these guys come for a shootout. They called it the Fastest Street Car Shootout. Mm-hmm. They made them do a 15 or 30 mile drive, whatever it was back then, okay, as a streetcar thing. Then when it was going for a few years and it was good, but it was, you know, getting stale. I mean, it was the same old thing. Freiberger went, we need to step it up a notch. And it had declined. And so he went, wait a second, I'm going to take a page out of Brock Yates' One Lap of America. Let's do the drag racing version of that. And then it's way more than a 30-mile cruise. Let's do that instead, and then dub them the fastest street car in America. And because Hot Rod owned the term, that's exactly what they did. So every year, the winner of Drag Week is listed as the fastest street car in America. And that is what. And so you are 100% right. That is the thing that led up to, you know, you basically had two things that merged to make Drag Week, and therefore all the drag and drives that have come since. Yeah. And it's all from that 100%.
Yeah. And it's very nostalgic. It was very, very nostalgic. And it's weird because, like, you know, we're kind of at the age, I mean, we got a little bit of years that separate us, but we're kind of at the age where things are kind of coming full circle. You know what
yes.
I mean? And, you know, not only are we losing some of our people that we looked up to that may have been a big influence to us in the car world, like my uncle. My uncle was my hot rod uncle, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, but we're seeing like all these racers and these race cars that are still there, and they're coming out, and it's like I don't know, watching it while I was working was kind of surreal, because the last time I watched any of that stuff was like on TNN when I was a kid.
Right.
And
yes.
I've never rinsed on anything. And, you know, and now here I am as an adult, and I'm wrenching on my own car. It ain't nothing like those, but I'm wrenching on my own stuff, and I'm watching the same stuff that I watched on TNN when I was a kid. And it was just absolutely awesome. That's all I can say.
It is. And here's one other, let me just drop a little more in that bucket for you. So think about this. Those cars ran in the 8s. Okay. And that was unreal. Okay. We have a bunch of friends with street cars that run way quicker than that. And I'm not talking about the cars that anybody would be thinking about. I'm not talking about our S10. I'm not talking about Larson's, Chevy 2. I'm not talking about Lutz or Bailey or any of those. I'm talking about dudes we know on a 275 radial or a 2810.5 slick in a Fox body Mustang that are running deep in the 7s. Okay. And that are street cars. Now, here's why I say that. I'm not digging on the 8-second cars. What I'm saying is those 8-second cars still turn us on and get us so fired up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not because they ran 8s. It's because of the total package. I've told people forever, doesn't matter whether cars are running 11s or 9s or 4s. If they are side by side, wheels in the air, and putting on a show, people are going to stand around and watch them and love the racing.
Dude, you know,
scoreboards ruin racing in a lot of ways. And I know all the No Time crowd believes in that. And I gotta say it's true.
Yeah, I never cared about the scoreboards, and it's funny, like, I don't even think about it. We go out to the track 3 weeks ago with Dave's Mustang with a very mild 5.3 setup, nice set of heads, couple of turbos, and we were easy on it and went an 8.0,
Yeah.
and you can go take that car, he hops in it and drives it 30 miles to work once or twice a week, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, he drives it a lot.
Yeah, and to think that how technology has come along, right? But yes, it's awesome to see that. But then when you do go see those dinosaurs come out, it's like the vintage drags. I love the vintage drags. You might have, a handful of cars that run in the 5s and the 8th mile. But when you see 10 true gassers, and these guys still got G-forces in them, and I see a guy who's 78 years old still racing the same car on the same track he raced in 1963, and he yanks the wheels and grabs second gear.
And yanks the wheels again. And grabs third gear. And yanks the wheels again.
Yes. At 10,000 RPMs. I don't care. That car could run a 620 in the 8th mile. That is badass. And
it is way. You're talking like Southeastern Gasser Association stuff, which is my jam. Yeah. And I love the Quain Stott and all the crew there do a great job. And cars with names, their wives backing them up. Like you said, dry hops. And,
Yeah, dude. It like the vintage drags. If you've never been to the vintage drags down here in Little River.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never been to that, anybody listening or you need to plan to go to it, because we went last year, and I made a video about it, and I'm telling you that old dude I'm talking about there was driving a 40 model Studebaker, and it was, he won the whole deal. 78 years old. He's out there in a pair of Chucks, got his race suit on, and I'm sitting there talking to him, and we're just, awesome. He tells me the story about how he raced the car in 1963 and 64 and won the championship with it 2 years in a row. And there were 3 of them that he drove for a guy. And then fast forward to 1998, he's trying to find another one so he can rebuild his childhood, youth car again.
And found it?
He found it sitting in a junkyard, gets it home, starts stripping it, realizes it's the car that he drove. It's the same car, the same color. It has some of the parts on it that he still had, that he had put on it.
Yeah.
And he rebuilt it and turned it right back into a race car again. Because it started out, I was going to do a street car. And then I was like, nope. I just somehow edged into this, and I've been racing it for the last 10 years. And it's awesome. It's a cool story. I love it. I love stuff like that.
Me too.
Stories, man. The stories and the aura that stuff like that kind of puts out is wild. It's cool. It's something special.
I agree. Yeah. Well, and I hope everybody that's watching is getting out to the races and having fun with your friends, because the reality is it's about hanging out with your friends and having fun. We, as car guys, no matter what kind of racing you do, the reality is that you spend 90% of your time talking about cars with your buddies and only 10% or less in the car, if that. So go out and have fun at the races with your friends. Make sure, we've talked about several people we've lost recently. Tell the people that you know at the races that you love them. It's important. There are too many good people that, you may never see again. So take the opportunity. You just never know. But dude, good show tonight. Fun stuff to talk about for sure. Yeah. I'm glad I got to share a bunch of the Bonneville photos. If you want to see more, we have lots more on Bang Shift. So go check them out. Remember, if you click on them, they're little. Click on one, it'll expand it, and then you can go through the whole slideshow and see them all. So it's very cool. Clint says it. We love the cars, but it's the people who make this shit worth it. And you're right, absolutely. Wickham says, "I miss Little River," it would take him 11 minutes to get to the track because he hit all 3 red lights. I forgot about that. Walter Fisher, the Havlicks Fastest Street Car Shootout reunion was bad to the bone. It was, dude. It really was. So we appreciate it for sure. We will be back in 2 weeks. remember, we are moving to Wednesday nights like tonight, 7:30, 5 Central. So join us. As always, Ryan, I really appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, enjoyed it, man. As
Put me in a
always.
good mood. I was not in the greatest mood before the show, so Ryan perked me up. So that was good.
Oh, good. I did my due diligence for the day.
You did.
My
Absolutely.
duty.
Yeah, your duty. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, but before we go, if any
Yeah.
of you are going to be in the Gainesville area, I'm going to go ahead and drop the plug. Get out to the Fastest Truck Nationals. It's going to be up there at the oh man, I forget. It's a giant park. It's the only big park in Gainesville, Texas, right off 35 next to the little zoo. So they're expecting 600 to 700 trucks to be at this deal. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have
I will be there. Ryan will be there.
Yep, we'll have a booth set up for the Tailgate Throwdown, and I'm working on a sweet promo video because I'm going to try to put a TV up and have it playing in the background at our booth. So,
and when is the Tailgate Throwdown? Give the people the info.
October 11th, 12th, and the 13th if we need it. So if we go long in the tooth on the 12th, then we got the 13th to finish the deal. So
nice. And where is that at?
It's Newport Raceway in Newport, Arkansas, and it's going to be off the chain. And you can check us out on Facebook, Tailgate Throwdown public page. We've got 2,000 members and climbing, and it looks like we're going to probably have over 100 and something trucks on the property. So
nice.
If you like trucks and you don't like cars, or maybe you like trucks more than you like cars, maybe you like them both equally, but you just want to see a truck race with only crazy bastards trying to make trucks go fast, then come to the Tailgate Throwdown, Newport Raceway in Newport, Arkansas. We'll be there all weekend, and we'll have smiles on our face because we're having a good time hanging out with our friends doing stupid truck stuff.
That's exactly right. And come to Gainesville for the Classic Truck Nationals. Like I said, I will be there. Ryan will be there selling stuff in his booth. I may bring a tote of things and just set it in his booth to sell too. And we'll see if I can have some bang shift gizmos up there for you guys to get as well. But really appreciate everybody tuning in. And again, Ryan, tell the boys and your lovely wife and the big pooches I said hello.
I most certainly will, sir.
All right. Appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next Wednesday right here on Beards, Burnouts, and Beer.
Sayonara.